grab your lunch, sit back. We're so glad to have your company today. I'm Christi Paul in for Kira Phillips, and I hate to do this, but we're starting with some really sad news that none of us ever want to hear. A child disappears playing near their house, and they are later found dead. In this case, 2-year-old Isaiah Teese disappeared Tuesday night about 7:30. He was playing at the time with his older brother.
Fanning out into backyards, fields, and wooded areas, hundreds of volunteers search for Isaiah Teese.
Isaiah! If you can get into them, look into them.
I have 4 children, and I can't imagine one of my children being out there.
While thousands searched for hours, Isaiah was never far from home. The boy was found at a repair shop near his home last night. When a customer went to get his vehicle, they discovered the body.
Now, would I look back, would we have liked to have forced entry to the car? Yeah.
He was right there, and that hurts me because it takes 3 seconds to pop a trunk, and I don't understand why that wasn't one of the first places that was checked.
I couldn't even imagine what the family's going through right now.
You don't ever want anybody at that age to go.
You just feel for this family, and I just want to let you know that that property they're talking about, that car shop, is right there on the property near the house. It's not far. Police say the car had been locked when searchers first checked the area, but as you can see, their investigators didn't force it open. Gosh, you know, we look at this, guys, Ryan Smith, John Phillips, Tanya Aker with us, and you just think, I know we think, what could we have done differently, but should that be the first thing we do after this? I mean, if anything comes out of this, we got to find a lesson, right?
Yeah, and I think the lesson is, I'm wondering, and I don't want to cast aspersions on police,
right,
but did they talk to the parents? I know that Isaiah had a tendency to wander off. So if that's the case, I wonder if police would have been helped with information to look in different areas. But looking in the trunk of a car would be really difficult to put on them. I mean, it seems like people did everything they could here.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know whether it was a hide and seek gone wrong or how, you know, how does the kid, how does a 2-year-old get in? I have a 17-month-old, and I almost couldn't speak when we first went to this. It's so tragic.
You know what, Tanya, I'm going to get your thoughts in a minute, but you said this very same thing that we were talking about in our meeting. I mean, I have 3 children, and I think, how would a 2-year-old get in a trunk? Take a look at this. We posed that question to a doctor. Well, this is Harper. She's 2 years old, and she's not feeling real well today. I know, it's okay, sweetie, go ahead. But we just wanted to give you a gauge of, you know, the size of a 2-year-old with a car. And we have Dr. Marks with us here. And I think a lot of the questions today are, how on earth would a 2-year-old get in a car? How would they open the trunk? How would they get in it? And then what would they grab onto to pull it back down on them when you see the size of a 2-year-old?
That's a big stretch to expect a 2-year-old to be able to even know how to open the car, the trunk, to get in, to pull the trunk down. You know, as far as her motor skills and things and her ability to be able to reason, to know how to get the thing closed, I think is a bit much for that age.
Oh, but the other thing we thought of was maybe the kids, and we've heard this, and we are not speculating that this happened in this case, but there have been previous cases where kids have been locked in trunks because they were playing hide and seek. So if you have a 5-year-old, then you go to your child when you're panicking and saying, do you know where your brother is? What is a 5-year-old going to do at that point?
The child is immediately going to think, I did something wrong, and they're going to get defensive, and they may not even give you a truthful answer.
See, that was one of the first things I wondered is, how do you talk to your kid if you're thinking, what if they were playing hide and seek, and a 5-year-old's immediately going to say, well, I don't want to get in trouble, so they might not say anything, right, Tanya?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. I mean, and the really disturbing thing here is all of the unanswered questions. I mean, Ryan started to touch on that. You know, remember, this car was parked at the home where the father repaired cars. We don't know if perhaps the trunk was slightly ajar. I've seen some 2-year-olds with a lot of dexterity, some really active young boys who I have in my life. I mean, they might have, like, played around. He might have jumped into it. The trunk might have been a little bit open. Like we just don't know what happened. I mean, I think it's really curious and certainly tragic that more of an effort wasn't made to force the trunk open at the time. But really, it's just, you know, it's hard to know what to say because we just don't know what happened.
Right, and I think it has a lot of people looking at this saying, have I locked my door? I mean, lock your car, first of all, I think is one of my big takeaways, because you just don't know what kids can get into. And I have to tell you, family members said this, that Isaiah's mom just screamed out and literally suffered a breakdown when told this news. And I get that. I think I'd be the same way. She had to be taken to the hospital, in fact. But police say, look, both of these parents have been cooperative during the investigation. They've agreed to take polygraph. But we're going to keep you up to date on any developments as we get them. But certainly our thoughts and prayers are with that family today and that whole community. 450 people came out to look for that little boy. But we do want to move on to, you know, Trayvon Martin's hoodie. As you know, it's kind of become symbolic at this